What if I were to tell you the biggest market disruptor right now isn't inflation, isn't interest rates, isn't even geopolitics? It's AI. While investors are cheering and workers are quietly asking different questions, is this is my job next? Let's break it down. What's really happening in the AI driven market? Why stocks at times were soaring, but now aren't doing so great, are crashing. So whether you have job fairs are justified or just maybe they're just overblown. You know, over the past year, AI has become a big engine of the market. Companies tied to artificial intelligence, semiconductors, cloud infrastructure, data centers, enterprise software has carried entire indexes across the board for the last couple years. And now the market is kind of turning south with all that. And now a handful of AI leaders are doing most of the heavy lifting, NVIDIA, Palantir, and then the broader index really isn't falling. This isn't a broad market rally. It's more concentrated on the narrow, top heavy parts of the economy, parts. So really, that tells us something right there that's important. Investors aren't just betting on growth, they're betting on disruption. And we've seen this before: the internet of the 90s, smartphones of the 2000s, cloud computing of the 2010s. But this all just feels faster. Everything's moving along so much faster than it was before. AI adoption isn't gradual, it's exponential. And the markets love exponential growth, but sometimes they don't really love disruption. Look at some of the housing stocks things going on right now that they can, a lot of the basically during COVID, that kind of sank a lot of the housing sector and everybody and the corporate business market. People weren't going back to the offices. Now it's remote work and hybrid work. And now that's kind of sinking in more. That's maybe people never going to go back to work and AI is just going to replace everybody. But all in all, here's a simple truth: AI's cut costs. If a company can automate, they will. Customer service, they will. Reduce legal research time, they will. Generate marketing content, they will instantly. Optimize logistics, margins improve, and Wall Street rewards margin. And sometimes right now they don't like uncertainty, what's going on. That's only a temporary blip. I don't think that's a bubble per se. So executives aren't asking should we use AI, they're asking how fast can we implement it. And the urgency is driving capital spending into chips, infrastructure, and AI tools. But here's the tension. Every efficiency gain raises a workforce question, and that's what's going on right now. People are worried that, is their job going to be next? And, the economy kind of runs on people working and then spending money in the supermarket, going to the mall, buying stuff online. It needs to run on people having jobs, having money to spend and keep the economy going. So if AI does all the work of 5 people, what happens to these 5 roles? And that's where the job fair narrative comes into play. This is where the fear starts to creep in. White collar workers, not just factory workers, are feeling exposed. Writers, designers, analysts, coders, even entry level legal finance roles, they're all worried about, am I going to be obsolete? For the first time, automation isn't just replacing manual labor, it's replacing cognitive tasks, and that feels different. But let's zoom out, kind of reflect on what's going on with the stock market, the economy, the job market. Zoom out here. Historically, technology doesn't just destroy jobs, it transforms them. The internet element eliminated certain roles when it first started out, a lot of retail jobs, roles, when e-commerce came about, the digital marketing, cybersecurity, app development, and all the way back when, like when the typewriter was invented, printing press, people were always worried, write it by hand, and that it did eliminate a lot of jobs, but a lot of jobs were gained. So this question isn't will AI eliminate jobs? It's will the labor market adapt fast enough, to keep up? And that's where the uncertainty that's coming about right now, with just a lot of factors there. And so you got to look at that right now. The market's pricing in massive productivity gains, and investors are seeing higher corporate profits, lower labor costs, faster innovation cycles, entire new industries forming. But workers are seeing hiring freezes, layoffs in tech, automation headlines, AI replacing entry level paths. There's disconnect. And kind of now that the workers saw a lot of layoffs there, it's kind of creeping into investors are seeing, maybe down the road the earnings aren't going to be so great. And there are going to be a lot of companies that go under because AI just replaces everything. And, there's a disconnect there. Wall Street is forward looking and workers are present focused. The gap creates volatility not just in markets but in sentiment. The sentiment drives markets more than people realize. So that's the big question. Is this a bubble? That's what everybody's really worried about. Is this an AI bubble range surge? That there was a surge when all these AI stocks, and then there were people worried if it's bubble territory. But I just want to tell you guys a balanced take. It's AI is real. It's not going away. It's a tool pretty much we're all starting to use. And productivity gains are real. The investment cycle is real, but evaluations, some are stretched. Some companies you see they're stretched out. And when there's too much money crowding into a single theme, corrections happen. This doesn't mean AI will disappear. It just means expectations need to be reset. And companies that actually generate profits from AI will survive. The hype-driven ones won't. And that's how every innovation cycle it plays out. So, you just got to look at all the companies that are, AI that are changing how we live. Palantir, NVIDIA, so many out there that are just changing how we're going to be living down the road. Smart cars and automation in the house, automation in your work, so much more that you can do that you don't need a person to do it, but maybe that person there will have the ability to do 5 people's jobs. But there's so much out there that so where does this leave? AI is the most powerful market disruptor in this decade. It hasn't seen that in forever. So will this change industries? Will this reshape jobs, create winners and losers? Yes, yes, yes to all those. The key isn't to panic, it's positioning. Basically, for investors, understand what you own. For workers, adapt, learn, integrate AI into skill sets instead of competing against it. And, because AI is the future, it's not going to go away because the future is likely isn't AI versus humans. It's humans who know how to use AI versus the ones that don't. It's always been the case. So I hope you found this helpful. And those are my takes of what's really going on in this crazy market, this crazy job market. What's AI doing? I mean, everything was going sky high. And do I see AI as an opportunity, a risk? I see it as an opportunity, but there's always headwinds down the road. Just for everybody, for investors, for workers. And you just gotta, everything that's going on, you just gotta do the best you can and focus on that. So, not a financial advisor, anything like that. I hope you guys like this video. And yeah, let's hope everybody likes AI, because it's not going away. It's here to stay. And it's here to stay, like every one of us, as long as we can on this earth. And we gotta use the tools, the technology that we have in front of us. And that's what you can do in life. That's what you can do for AI. And can't, people that didn't use the typewriter, they got passed over, didn't use the printing press, the phone, cell phone, everything kind of passes you over if you don't jump onto that technology. So you got to get with the technology, get with AI. Don't be worried. Don't be worried about a market like that. It's gonna work itself out. And AI is here to stay.